Hello everybody! There's a couple of people, particular YouTubers, that have left lasting impacts on the internet as a whole. PewDiePie, Neil Cicierega, JonTron. One of those people is indisputably Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic. There's a lot of opinions about the Nostalgia Critic, justifiably so. There was, of course, the scandal of Change the Channel, which I'm not going to be covering, but I will have a link in the description to a group of people who cover it very thoroughly, and I do recommend you watch it if you're at all interested in Channel Awesome and Doug Walker. Those people have covered it much better than I could, so instead, we're just going to make fun of the Channel Awesome's terrible game show.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
A bit of background. When I was young, I actually watched Nostalgia Critic pretty often. He was one of the reasons why I got into film in the first place. Over time, his style and his negativity became less and less appealing as I started noticing, the actual artistic merit of things.
Look at this. He writes the critic so one-dimensionally that he actually confuses real life for a movie.
It's precisely the moment where the mutation or beast will attempt to kill an unlikable side character. In stories where there has been no prior cursing, nudity, allow the audience to feel good about it.
I'm sorry. This is really hard. It's really hard for me to get through this.
One thing that I remember in particular that helped push me away from him was his review of M. Night Shyamalan's The Lady in the Water, which ended with the Nostalgia Critic listening closely to an M. Night Shyamalan portrayed as very childlike with very childish ideas.
Incredible names. It sounds like it came from a language that's existed for years.
That was my intention! You see, I'm a big fan of creating other worlds, and other worlds have different sounding names, so I said to myself, what sounds weird and otherworldly? A narf. You just hear that word and immediately you think a beautiful woman.
It's so patronizing and mean. It just made me go, along with other things like his philosophy on humor.
Slapstick focuses on the most important rule of comedy, that all comedy in one way or another is based on misery. Whether it be mocking something others hold dear or crushing another in a perfectly timed manner, humor is that defense mechanism that acknowledges that pain is just another part of life.
Still, he was super formative to my love of movies, and as a result, I feel kind of bad for him. He tries to be a filmmaker at every given opportunity, and he just doesn't make it right. Everybody is making fun of him on every corner of the internet. They have been for years. So, if I am this sympathetic, you may be asking, why am I making fun of his stupid game show? The answer is that I am a dirty, dirty sellout. Riffing on the Nostalgia Critic is a very popular practice that gets a lot of people to look at it, and I'm sorry, but it's a dog-eat-Doug world out there, man. Speaking of selling out, hit that like button, ring that bell, subscribe.
Subscribe, baby.
Still, though, I feel sorry for the guy, so I'm going to call him the Nostalgia Critic instead of Doug Walker, just as some form of pity. But no more delay, let's get right in to Pop Quiz Hotshot. Boy, what a terrible name. What does that even mean? It's like Pop Quiz Hotshot, but there's not a comma. It doesn't make any sense.
Well done, bag 'em, that's right, that's the way we do things here at Pop Quiz Hotshot.
Pop Quiz Hotshot is a 2015 show created by Channel Awesome that is really weird. So there was only one season produced. I presume that it was canceled rather than just met its end since there's not really a conclusion to it. But all 11 episodes are virtually identical. There are 3 segments. There is the first, which is a physical challenge, which has no bearing on the rest of it whatsoever. The second is a round of trivia, a couple rounds of trivia actually, between 2 contestants that are varying in their charisma.
My last name is Beveridge, and it's spelled differently, but no one ever believes that.
Then the winner of that round gets to go against the Nostalgia Critic in a lightning round of trivia, and the winner wins. That doesn't make sense. The winner of which gets a monetary prize and gets out with their life, because this particular game show actually has a pretty interesting setup. It sets the Nostalgia Critic up as like the villain. He's kidnapped a lot of people and forcing them to partake in this game show of his, along with general anesthetic, which is interesting. The idea, the shtick, is that they will die if they fail. Since all of the episodes are virtually identical, I'm just going to be going over one in detail, and you can just suppose the other ones have almost the exact same beats. So, episode 1, Fat Nipples. It starts off with obviously the physical challenge being related to Batman and his nipples, which I presume is a shot at, Batman Forever. The physical challenges, to my knowledge, have no impact on the game whatsoever. I don't think you get bonus points or anything, despite being the title of the episode. I don't really know what that says about it, but I am rather impressed because only 37% reference genitalia in any capacity. The physical challenges are very, very, very awkward. This one in particular.
At a time, they are very delicate nipples. George Clooney especially, oh, he seems to like that. He has a nice little smile there. Val Kilmer, I can't tell, his acting range is kind of limited.
The Nostalgia Critic just very limply commenting on it. It's very uncomfortable, which is a pervasive element of this show.
I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and ever since I was a child, I always wanted to play games, quoting movies and TV with my
Then the
friends.
intro comes in, and the intro actually
I had no friends.
is impressive. It shows some actual competence. There's, actually decent green screens. There is match cuts that work, things like that. And then it just goes into the set.
General anesthetic, there you go. Welcome, my friends, to Pop Quiz Hotshot. You are my friends, aren't you?
The entire thing is true to form a quiz show. Everything is improvised. This was not a good decision.
But you're my friends now. Yes, you are, and that just makes me so happy, because this is what friends do. Please stand up. You have a gun pointing at you. Yes, not very wise. But this is what friends do. They get together and they play games and they talk and they punish one another if they don't do what the important one is saying. So
Nostalgia Critic as a style is very specific. He gets angry at things, disproportionately so, and goes on silly rants with silly gestures and silly props and characters.
I would give anything if the twist to this movie was that the entire time it was Pinky and the Brain trying to take over the world. Literally, every single problem would be fixed if they just do that twist. It's a Warner Brothers movie, make it happen!
It does not translate well to actual real people. It's very clear that the critic is pulling his punches when it comes to insulting the contestants.
what would you do if I sang?
Out of tune?
Yes.
Would you stand up and walk out?
Okay. Don't need your life story.
It's on my iPod.
Good for you. You want a cookie?
Which doesn't really work at all because it's taking everything that he is kind of funny for and just watering it down even more. So there's a thing about game shows. They are multi-camera. See, there's two distinctions in filmmaking. There's single camera and multi-camera. Movies are single camera, generally speaking. Most shows are, but sitcoms and game shows are multi-camera. You have multiple cameras going at once and you get the best angle of things. That's just how it goes. This show has two cameras, which is not enough. I also want to talk a bit about the set. It looks very cheaply done, which is actually, justified in the setup, but the lighting is atrocious. These big quiz shows have really, really big budgets because they bring in a lot of money. This show does not have such a big budget, so I can forgive a lot of things that the critic doesn't do well. I cannot forgive the lighting.
For getting this one wrong. In the movie being John Malkovich, it was John Malkovich who said that. And it's a movie where literally everyone becomes John Malkovich, and it's the most obvious answer in the world, but I didn't see Santa Christ coming, so I'm going to give you the 10 points for that.
Supposedly there was a Kickstarter for this show, and it's cost like $90,000 or something, which doesn't show at all. As soon as you start off, you notice something very odd, which that there seems to actually be a legitimate live studio audience.
But you're my friends now. Yes, you are, and that just makes me so happy, because this is what friends do. Please stand up. You have a gun pointing at you, yes.
I don't know why you would do that. I presume it's just cast and crew. I hope it's just cast and crew. So here are our first two contestants. There's Ryan, who is a Popeye impersonator.
Ryan, upon interrogation, our little chat, you said that you do a very good Popeye impression.
Well, I am what I am, and that's all that I am.
Supposedly at a festival of Popeye fanatics, which is interesting. And then there's Tom. I like Tom more. His name is Tom Beveridge. His fun fact about himself is the doctor that took care of him when he was born is named Dr. Pepper, which, they act like this is some incredulous fact, but I believe it just because it's a very boring fact. To summarize this trivia section, Essentially, it's just trivia that the Nostalgia Critic reads off, and you can answer correctly, or you can make the critic laugh, and that's how you get points, 10 at a time.
If the contestant does not know the answer, but can make the Nostalgia Critic laugh, 10 points are still given.
Obviously, this is conducive to some less than comfortable moments. These contestants aren't comedians. They aren't, like, trained in being funny on a whim. So they're not. But, of course, nobody wants to be rude, so everybody laughs, and it's just really weird. I would describe it.
Tom, in American Beauty, which actor said, "Look at me, jerking off in the shower. This will be the high point of my day. It's all downhill from here."
And it's been every day of his since. Kevin Spacey.
Wow, a lot of Kevin Spacey hate from you, man.
Not really, I love the guy.
Oh, you do like him?
Oh, yeah.
Why would you say that about Kevin Spacey?
Because it's true.
Finish this Kevin Spacey line. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was... "You're tearing me apart, devil!" And it's not a Christopher Nolan film, so to that.
Yeah, it is.
What? You're right. Let me try that again. Hey, who can that tune here? Okay? I'll go. There's a man with a gun right next to you right now. Don't you forget
married.
that.
I got nothing else to live for.
Wow!
Santa Christ.
You know I like you. I like you because I really want to punish you for getting this one wrong. But I didn't see Santa Christ coming, so I'm going to give you the 10 points for that.
Oh, I've seen Santa Christ coming, and I'm still in therapy.
Misery.
Yes. Jesus Christ.
Also, there's the worst element of the show, which is the spazzies, which, of course, is in that standard Nostalgia Critic. I wouldn't even call it MS Paint style. I don't know why he still goes with it. Like, he has a budget, doesn't he? The entire joke is they are A, hyperactive, and B, incredibly violent for no reason.
You get to watch our spazzy cartoon.
Oh my God, Joseph, what are you doing? Martha, I swear, it's not what you think. Oh, rotten hell, you little man whore!
Ha 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 ha.
They mark the end of a round. Whoever presses the timer first gets to go on to the next round unpunished. The other one gets a punishment, which is usually just being forced to dress up like someone. The first guy's dressed up like Popeye. Later, there's He-Man. There's Yoda. It's just that sort of stuff. I think the only one that was different was somebody had to answer like Chris Rock would, which was as funny as it sounds.
You know what? I want you to answer all the following questions like Chris Rock. Like I said, proud and ashamed to be white whenever I hear it. While we get you changed into... Identical. The only thing missing is the little gap, but we knew if we put black paint in there, it'd probably be toxic, and we want you to live for a little bit longer. We're just gonna go right into round two. Where
a motor car named Desire?
It can't last you forever, but yes, I am giving you 10 points for that.
My favorite of the spazzy punishments is definitely when somebody's forced to dress up like a critic, because let me tell you, that is a punishment indeed.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Credit where credit is due. I like the transitions. I put that in my notes. I don't remember what transition I was talking about. I'm just going to keep it in, though, just in case. The questions asked are bad in a very interesting way, in that they vary in difficulty, because sometimes you'll have somebody talking about a movie that everybody knows, you know, Star Wars or other pop culture monoliths. Then sometimes it'll be something completely random that's obviously just something that the Nostalgia Critic has a fondness for.
Similar idea is called Better Off Dead. It's understandable for getting that one. It's from Kingdom of the Crystal Doll, so it is not surprising at all.
The Kentucky Fried Movie?
Yes! Oh my God, how do you know that movie? Let me give you a hug. That's just amazing. I love that film. I love that film. You're gonna win. You're gonna win.
I made my wife watch the JFK game in that.
He said it first.
I don't understand what they're really going for. My only guess is that at some point the Nostalgia Critic reviewed those movies, and so fans that have watched all this stuff would know what he's talking about. And the trivia questions are always the same sort of thing, like who did this, what did this, how did this go? It's not really questions of cinema, more so have you watched this movie? If you have watched the movie, then you get it right. If you haven't, then you get it wrong, but you can't just say the wrong answer. You have to try to be funny and say something like Kevin Spacey, Waka Waka. There's a couple of nuggets of humor, but that's only really because it's like a statistical certainty that it would happen. You know, you can only have so many one-liners before somebody accidentally makes something that's actually funny.
Expecting more out of you, Tom.
No, that's pretty much my life.
Yeah, wow. And you're sad, and you're bringing me in a bad mood. Shut up.
They do have a cash prize that if the previous contestant loses, it increases by 50% the next time around. But I don't know why, because the cash prize is $100. Part of the charm of game shows, part of why people watch it, if you've ever watched a quiz show, is that it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's life-changing amounts of money.
You're about to become the star of $20,000.
Yeah! It's $100. Which, well, yeah, I would like $100. It's not that much for a game show. If I was him, I would make it like some exclusive Nostalgia Critic merch or something like that, or anything really. But no, it's $100. I think the top prize is like $200 at one point. Because everybody wins this show, which I'll get to later. In the final round, it is a lightning round between the critic and the competitor. I believe each person gets 2 questions each, and they have to answer very quickly or fail. This is usually a good idea, but of course, like everything, the critic messes it up. So you'll have shows like Beat Bobby Flay comes to mind, where you go against Bobby Flay at the end. And it makes sense because Bobby Flay is a renowned cook. So it's like a boss challenge in a game. You know, there's like this big challenge because Bobby Flay is good at cooking. And if you beat him, that is something extraordinary. But the final round is just more movie trivia. And it's not good movie trivia either. It's not like the critic has any special advantage or like some insight about it. It's not even like he gets to like choose anything about it. It's just more or less the first round, but faster, thank goodness. And it has the critic there and some really bad pixel animation at the end. I don't know what's up with the animation. Like, you'll see like JonTron, which has its own controversies. Over the years, he has like upped his production value like up the wazoo, you know. The lighting is perfect, he has a whole team, like there's everything. And then the critic just hasn't. But Tom wins, and now he has to go against the Nostalgia Critic in the next round. It's not really like it's any extra challenge. Tom just has to beat the critic as much as he did beat Ryan, which he does because it's super easy.
Tom, it's against my programming to impersonate a deity.
C-3PO.
Correct. And critic, he's no good to me dead.
Boba Fett?
Correct. And the winner is...
So yeah, Tom wins easily. The only part more uncomfortable than that part of the show is the very last section, in which it's general anesthetic and the critic talking and improving. And it gets weird.
Indeed.
Yeah, you know, I always find those parts where they talk at the end, like with, you know, kind of the showgirl or whatever, just really, really awkward. So I'm really glad we're not doing that.
Absolutely not.
At all.
Nope.
You're definitely not a showgirl.
No, not anymore anyway.
With that figure, you were a showgirl, really.
Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't shock me that you used to be a woman, but with that figure, that really fascinates me.
There is a niche for me.
Some things of notes from other episodes, because there are a couple of interesting things. Shader shows up, and Shader is weird. I can't stop thinking about Shader. I have so much respect for the guy because he has this comic that Shader's from, and he comes in cosplaying as his character, essentially as an ad, and it's so good. I've not read the webcomic, but I will put a link in the description if it's still around. There's some respect for episode 7 because their money goes to charity regardless of who wins, which is nice, but it's only $100, and I think the person who wins, their charity of choice was to buy video games for hospital kids, I think. And that buys like 3 modern games max, if they're cheap games. I don't get the cash prize at all. Last thing of note really is episode 9, which has a Yoda death sound in 2015, and that's all. I didn't write a conclusion. That was a look at Pop Quiz Hotshot, a failed product that failed for very obvious reasons that were apparently not clear to the creators. This subject has been covered before, and the Nostalgia Critic will always be covered. I feel kind of bad for the guy. But not that bad. Pop Quiz Hotshot, baby! Oh, Doug Walker. Why?